Welcome back. Sorry it's been a minute since I've posted an update video. Um, Life has been a little bit busy, so haven't made any updates on video. However, I have been posting in my Telegram chat regarding my thoughts on the market. So I'm just going to keep this one brief and talk about how I am positioned or what I see in the market currently. Let's start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently pulling back today and yesterday. I guess the narrative was that there was some potential war or something breaking out. Felt like a non-issue, just felt like an unlikely event, and this didn't seem realistic to me. Right now, it looks like we're getting a bit of a break and a retest of this downward channel. And yeah, there's a good chance. Like, it wouldn't shock me to see it come test this point of control. It does line up perfectly with golden pocket. But like, I mean, if it did come down here, I'd be surprised if this didn't get a good reaction. However, I would much prefer it to just hold this level and go, obviously, because I'm bullish. So yeah, there's that. My two targets that I have in the short to medium term are approximately 115-ish and 120. So those are the two first interesting points for me. 120 being, well, let's just switch to this. Let's see where it is. I think what's this chart? Yeah, so I've had these levels marked out. Now in the order books, I see a lot of sell orders around 120, so I'm pretty certain we get a reaction there. 115 is also that 165 extension that I would have previously mentioned in other videos. Let's go to the Bitstamp. I probably have it marked out already. I do not. Let's just remove all these. Okay, so you take this pivot, and this pivot. And we are currently within this golden pocket, right? 115,768 approximately is an interesting level in terms of probably get a reaction there. So, you know, you can set an alert up here for when price reaches there. And then I would say psychologically 120 could get a reaction, right? So you could set an alert there. However, the ultimate target for this rally, once we clear these zones, for me personally, would be the 1-to-1 of this leg, which is in this region, right? Which is around 168, which is where I think around 168 to 169 is where I think the rally probably and most likely is going to end, and this beautiful trend will probably break to the downside. Okay, and I'm expecting that to occur by late this year. October, November would be the likely end of this rally, which would then likely result in a pullback to, let's just be for accuracy's sake, so up to here, and then we're going to do this. Okay, likely down to this region, 52,000. This is where I expect price to go. You know, something like an A correction, maybe a double top, who knows, but let's just assume we get a lower high and then a dump into here, and that would probably be off some sort of catastrophic event. Let me just chuck a 382 in here for reference. So, you know, you might get a 382 down here, a lower high off something like a golden pocket or whatever. and then a leg down, right? And this would likely be into November 2026. Okay, that's kind of what I'm expecting with Bitcoin, longer term, higher time frame over the next, give or take, 18 to 24 months. That view for now has not changed unless this trend breaks. That's my current view, which should lead to the rest of the market obviously going up for the most part. Not everything's going to go up, but a lot of things should. Now, let's cross-reference this analysis with a few things. So we go with US dollar dominance, USDT dominance, sorry. And one of the concerns is obviously the linear chart you have. We've come down and tested this trend line and gotten a bounce, but I don't know where my drawings went, which is annoying. Now I have to try and remember what I had drawn in the past, but I think something like this. Let's get these pivots correct. Might have been this low actually. Yeah, so from this pivot to this pivot, we've come down, tested golden pocket, got a big reaction off that. Double bottom, big reaction. Lower high here. Lower low, lower high. So it's technically still bearish. Okay. And still trending down. So I actually think that this is where we'd want to be very cautious and expect a bottom to form on the dominance, but also a top to form on Bitcoin and the rest of the market, which is around the 3.27%. So that's the first confluent level that I would keep my eye on. So you can set an alert there. Okay. Let's go to the US dollar. This is more representative of the entire equity market / crypto market. What I see here is we've come down. This is a key level. Okay. And let's just do this, CC. This is a key level. We've tested it 1, 2, 3. We're on the 4th attempt here at holding it as support. Looks very likely to break on the US dollar, right? We've also got a lower high here. All right, lower high. So what I think is likely to happen is this breaks and heads down towards this level, which would be very bullish for equities. A weakening dollar is always good. So that's kind of my rough expectation on that. Now, let's have a quick look at total. I haven't actually charted on this for a while. Oh, it's a mess. Okay, so total actually kind of looked like a cup and handle. And so, what is going on here? Sorry, sometimes I just draw non-stop on charts and it gets really messy. This looks like a cup and handle, right? Even I think this possibly identified it as a cup and handle on the weekly, I want to say, or the 2 weekly. I can't remember what it was. There was some time frame where even the automatic chart pattern recognition decided this looks like a cup and handle. Obviously, I don't like relying on that, but sometimes I will check it for compliments, like double bottom, for example. I don't know why it's not showing up. I'm pretty certain in the past it did. Let's see which, maybe it was total 3 or something. Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, it kind of looks like a cup and handle, right? You've got on both of those charts, You've got your cup and your handle. All right. So, I mean, 1.96 trillion total 3 is what I think will be top, and around 7.24 trillion will be, in my opinion, the top for total market cap. So these are another things that to look at, to be aware of when looking to, get out near the top of the market on all of your trades. Okay. Let's just put that a little bit lower, around 7 trillion. So that's been an expectation for a long time for me. And this is just based off fib extensions. Obviously, the market is bleeding today because of this pullback. We'll see how deep it goes. Hopefully not much more. What am I most bullish on currently? Well, in terms of the majors, I think Ethereum outperforms in the medium to longer term until the end of the year, basically. I think we reached 12.5-ish. That's kind of my expectation, right? This chart is a fucking mess. I'm sorry. Let me clean it up. Again, too many damn drawings, but let me just clean this shit up and remove all this, because sometimes I'm just zooming in, looking at the lower time frames and seeing what's forming in the lower time frames. Currently battling with this diagonal and this resistance area. However, this does look like a cup and handle also to me. Right, you've got, this looks like the handle, and this looks like the downward channel that it's currently rejecting off. This looks like a bit of a rounded structure coming off an uptrend, rounded structure. Okay, this is the cup. Okay, that's the height of the cup. If we take that measured move, what do you know? Directly into the golden pocket. How convenient, right? And that is what happened here, right? This was a golden pocket extension, this top. We've tested it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this resistance. So I don't think this holds. I think once we clear this, we just blast through up into here until November. And then I believe the correction will come down back to 3.4, 3.5 by, say, November 2026. Okay, so I'm expecting basically a 786 retracement from this region. So I would expect it to come back down and test here. All right, around, what is that, 3.3? So yeah, you'd probably get around 3.5, 3.3 would probably be where the market bottoms out. So something like, where's my arrow? This, obviously not going to go on a straight line, but here down to, and then what is it, like November 2026, somewhere down here, right? And that's where reaccumulating would probably make the most sense in this region. Once you see something like this, some wicks, a little bit of strength, that's where I'll be interested in buying Ethereum again once I've offloaded up here. So that's current plan for Ethereum. Now, that being said, if Ethereum performs, I think MOG and Pepe and any kind of Ethereum betas will outperform as well, as these are somewhat a leverage play on the market, on Ethereum rather, just because they are, technically Ethereum meme coins. However, MOG is cross-chain now, but it originally was an Ethereum coin. Most of the activity, I believe, is still on ETH and on Base, because that's kind of where most of the liquidity is and most of the trading happened originally. But they are now available, and they've been available on ordinals. They're available on Ethereum mainnet. They're available on Base chain, and now also available on Solana, which has been like that for a little while. So you've got 4 chains essentially that you can access this meme coin on, which is really good. I believe personally that, and I'm just going to go to the DEX tools chart real quick. I believe that because MOG tends to outperform to the upside, or in general around like nearly 180%, right? Based on the math I did, or when I checked. And so I ran some tests, some calculations to see if this move would make sense, and it kind of did, which would be, as you can see from this chart, if you take this low, this high, we ignore this wick down to this low, you can see the market topped out at the 618. So logically, we could see it potentially get up to the 786, and that's around here, which is from today's price, if you move it down to the current price, that's a 16x. Okay, which is if ETH does a 3.5, 3.8x, MOG could easily do a 16x. Okay, and we've got the whole break and retest of this downtrend. We've got this nice this inverse head and shoulders bottoming pattern. I believe this is very likely to occur, and so I have loaded up on MOG once again for that trade. Okay, and I think this is kind of like a broadening wedge, if you want to look at it like that. Patterns and all are a bit subjective, but I mean, you could also look at it from this perspective. Okay, and you get a very similar kind of conclusion. I hate when that happens. Similar conclusion. All right, come up, fill the broadening wedge, and then probably nukes to down here somewhere in the bear market, as most altcoins suffer the same fate. You know, nobody likes to hold altcoins in the bear market. That's just reality. Okay. In terms of the stock market, this trade so far, not much has happened. This is like my ultra bullish case. My original target was 125. I was playing around with this today just to see what's like the most bullish case for this. This is devoid completely of fundamentals, this analysis. I have no idea if the company will ever get this high. It's just a TA, right? It's just speculative drawing on the chart at the moment. However, there are obviously different ways to look at this. Something I did notice today is if you take, I think it was this pivot to this pivot, and we do, so it's like a 1-to-1 give or take of this move. I think, no, this wasn't it. It was the 1-4-on-4, I believe. Let me just double check how I did this. So I think if you take this fib extension to here, and we do external targets, log scale. Let's just turn off everything else. I really should just have a 1-4-1-4 default setting here. So messy. Too many settings. It gets too cluttered and I hate it. Okay, so we're just going to stick the 1-4-1-4 there, right? And as you can see, it perfectly rejected off that. If we do this to this pivot, you can see we just got above the 1-4-1-4, and now we're having this corrective structure. So one could assume that this will likely be somewhere where people will take profit, $56.36, which is a lot less ambitious of a breakout. I could see that. I could see, something like that, and then a pullback to test support. Like I would be, if I had a big position, this would not surprise me. Something like that. If we got something like that, we shall see. Who the hell knows what happens? But curious now. So we can get up to 150 if we get another leg. Yeah. So anyway, that's SOUN, the AI stock. Now this kind of all hinges on my opinion, the entire small cap sector doing well, which I think that's just around the corner. Like, I think the reason why a lot of these mining stock, crypto mining stocks, haven't really performed too great, whilst Bitcoin is trading at over 100,000, is because of the entire small cap sector just not getting the love it deserves, like the love it deserves, but just not getting much love. You know, we've just seen this kind of. I mean, this is bullish, but it hasn't done a whole lot in terms of higher time frames. Same with stocks like Riot. This has just been in an accumulation phase for a long, long time. Compression, volatility starting to minimize over time. It's in this big downward channel. There is a possibility that we get a nice measured move breakout once everything starts ripping into this golden pocket, right? Like, let's say from around here to here, I believe you kind of get this height of this compression as the breakout point, which could kind of get you to about 122. I mean, I'm hoping for that because I hold a lot of the stock. I also hold iron. This is just me thinking of like where could things go. Obviously, I could be completely wrong with my analysis, but I like to speculate and sort of plan ahead and think of, okay, where am I getting out 100% for sure if I get lucky and things do go crazy, right? Like if things just start pumping out of control, and I need to have a plan, right? I can't just be like, we're like in the moment trying to figure this out is much harder than knowing ahead of time where you plan to get out. Okay. So you need to have some preset targets. Now, you could do, okay, that's the ultimate target. We could do a 1-to-1 of this. Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. These magnets. One sec. Trading view can be a pain in the bum to play with sometimes. So we could do this high time frame. That's the 1-to-1, which is only $30. We could throw that on log scale and say, okay, maybe $86, $87. You could do a golden pocket of this, which I think that's what this is. You could, yeah, that's a golden pocket up there of this pool. So there are like a few things you can try. You can even go, okay, this initial range, what's the golden pocket of that? And this, which is much less of a pump. I think it goes higher personally, but we shall see. This all kind of hinges on the IWM Russell 2000 ripping higher. Now, if you could see from this is kind of an old chart, right? This is back in 2002. We take a fib extension up to this high, to this low. You can see the 1.618 was the initial kind of rejection. The 2 was, excuse me, the 2 was this rejection, and the 1.618 acted as support. So naturally, one would assume that this would probably be the next level to watch out for, which is quite a ways away. This is a big move. That's like a 110% move in the IWM from today's current prices. And this was the COVID crash, right? Up into here, where from the COVID crash to here was the top of the IWM, the iShare, the Russell 2000 small caps index. And this is where basically everything in the small cap sector went absolutely bananas, including the mining stocks, which would also include, that SoundHound AI stock because it's a small cap. So this, assuming this is a 155% move, okay, potentially a similar move off the lows. It's not out of the realm of reality to think that, like let's see how much of a move this was, right? When this is when the IWM did 165% move, right? That was 150x off the lows. So if you think that IWM is going to eventually break this consolidative structure and make a move, right? Even if it only does a move up to test this top of the channel from here. All right, let's just say, let's be a bit more cautiously optimistic. Maybe, you know what, I'll do a trend-based one. Let's go COVID low. CC1. That's not too helpful, is it? Let's try this low. Okay, so this doesn't make sense to me. This pulled. Try this. This is probably going to get ridiculous. I don't know. None of these fib pulls really make sense, personally. But even say, okay, let's just say with this fib pull, 371, which is a 70% move in the IWM, right? 75% move. That's like the kind of bear case, cautiously optimistic. That's approximately half of this. So if you think that that move won't result in Riot doing a 7 or 8x, whereas it did a 150x off the lows last time, it made a double that move. I mean, I don't know. I think this is in the realm of possibility, even with all the dilution and everything. I still think this is possible. So I don't know. Well, actually, let's just be fair. This would be from today's price as an 11x. So we'll see. That's kind of how I'm viewing the markets today. Trying to think if I've forgotten to cover anything. The altcoins, WIF. Let's see what WIF's doing today. WIF is okay. So we got this low pump, higher low, high, and it's tested this golden pocket twice now. It has lost this anchored VWAP, so we can just remove it. And it's also come and tested this VWAP, but this anchored VWAP a few times. Probably gonna get a 786 retracement here. Yeah, so I think we'll probably come back down, test 85-ish. And then if Bitcoin turns around, we might even come down and test this one more time. But if Bitcoin turns around, I would expect this to go. And I'm expecting it to go up to $2.80 up here somewhere. We might reject off this $2.30 first, but I think $2.80, $2 psychological too is probably going to be some selling. But ultimately, I think we get up to $2.80. That's my initial target. It's this big level. It's the 1-to-1, and it's also value area high of this range. So that's kind of what I'm expecting for WIF. PNUT looks like a double bottom and a flag, potentially. So we got, you got a low, lower low, but it's all ultimately like just coming and testing the support, which I think this is a golden pocket from memory. Maybe it was this entire fib pool. So you get the OE and the golden pocket kind of lining up, right? You just do 4 entries, and you can see that, right? So that's still consolidating in this, and there is a good chance of it ripping up if we get a measured move breakout eventually. You know, that could be the measured move somewhere up here, up to like $1 potentially. In terms of when that would happen, we'd want to at least see a 1-to-1 of the impulse. So something like here. 1-to-1. That was the 1-to-1. Maybe from this pivot then. Oh, so very soon it looks like. By like the 14th, this could start turning around and then make the move to $1, which is this resistance here. Obviously, this could be resistance too. This is like a monthly point of control, around 70 cents. So but yeah, that's. I mean, if we take a measured move of this, yeah, that's how you get $1 basically. All right, that's the Sol coins. This is an interesting chart. I haven't got any of this coin, but I want to accumulate some for like the higher time frames. Just this huge compression on ARC. I think once this goes, it could really go quite high. It's very low market cap, so I'm interested in buying some of this at some point, but not yet. We'll be closer to, you know, maybe in a couple months. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. It's on my watch list for now. Similar to SHIB, really. SHIB is doing a similar pattern to actually XRP. I noticed. Back on here. So if you can see on SHIB, I think SHIB probably has a, which is interesting, but towards the end of this year, towards the end of the altcoin party, I think that's when it gets some loving, like in later this year, sometimes in September. It's doing exactly what XRP did in terms of like it just consolidating in this sort of pennant, and then it gets to the 1.618, and then you get a huge breakout, and then it rips like 400-500%, right? And that's what I think is going to happen. I think this will at least get back up to the previous highs. You know, so I'm waiting for that. I got my alert set, and that's when I'll probably take the trade. Till now, we just ignore it. I believe that's it. POPCAT. Let's have a quick look at POPCAT. Since I've covered it before, it's done a whole lot of nothing. Just the same as like the other coins, right? It's kind of just been in this downtrend locally, forming some form of a potential flag, which would indicate continuation in this new trend. It's taken a lot longer than I had expected, but that's trading. Sometimes things don't play out the way we initially expected. And yeah, what's that? If we get a move, you know, shit, that could get us back to previous highs, $2.10. So yeah, that's a pretty big move. I mean, what is that? That's if we get, I don't know if it'll do it in a straight line, but you know, that would be 4.5x. So this could be an interesting trade, actually getting to an interesting level, because we're back at support. You know, this entire region is clearly support. So it's probably a fib as well, be my guess. Yeah, so that came down, tested the 786. So I mean, if you're looking for a place to long, probably down there. It's interesting that the VWAP's not holding. Sometimes you got to play around with where you're anchoring it. But yeah, anyway.